Well, hey there, Mama, and welcome back to the Moms Overcoming Overwhelm podcast, episode 105. I'm Emily McDermott, and I am here beside you on this journey as we work together to declutter your home, head, and heart. Today's episode is inspired by a listener question that I got, and she says, "Help, Emily. I have a hard time letting go of things for my children because they're all girls, and so I want to save things for the next one. Clothes, shoes, books, toys, all of it." And this is a common question that I get from moms, especially those with littles, and they're not sure if they're going to have more kids or when and how much they should hold on to. And we have so much baby stuff, right? Because the babies need the clothes and the gadgets and the swings and all of those things. And so today I have 5 tips on how to go through this process so you can confidently hold on to what you need and let go of the rest. So what do you say? Grab the notebook and pen and let's dive into today's episode. Hey there, Mama. Are you tired of all the stuff crowding your home, calendar, and mind? Do you wish you could say goodbye to the endless to-do list running around in your head? Want to declutter but don't know where to start? You're in the right place. Welcome to Moms Overcoming Overwhelm, where you will find proven and practical solutions to declutter your home, head, and heart. Hi, I'm Emily, a wife, boy mom, and simplicity seeker. I struggled to get pregnant and felt overwhelmed until I discovered decluttering could create the physical and emotional space I needed to become a mom. Now, 2 kids later, I've transformed my life and motherhood by developing simple systems around decluttering, capsule wardrobes, kid stuff, cleaning and tidying, meal planning, time management, and more, and I can't wait to share them with you. If you're ready to reclaim the time and energy you crave, be present with your kids, and finally enjoy the life and motherhood you so deserve, let's kick overwhelm to the curb, shall we? Grab your lukewarm coffee, your notebook and pen, and clear off some counter space. Let's do this. So we are in day 2 of a new decluttering challenge in the group. And if you haven't joined the Facebook group yet, what are you waiting for? Head on over to tinyurl.com/moms overcoming overwhelm. The other cool thing is that starting soon, I have to get my ducks in a row, but I'm going to be doing monthly Q&As in the Facebook group so you can get your questions answered directly by me. And so I love answering questions from the community, like what we're talking about today, because that's really what I want to do. I want to be able to help as much as I can. And like I said, today it's a very common question about how much to hold on to when you're planning to have more kids. So let's dive right in. My first recommendation is what we always talk about here on the show: define what matters. And so you want to think about the baby equipment that you have actually used with previous children. I'm actually going to link to a blog post I did years ago, but I still stand by my recommendations for my top 5 baby registry picks. And just for a little bit of a preview, a couple of them are the Snot Sucker. I heard there's like an electric version now, which is very exciting. Also, toppers to go on pouches, because otherwise my kiddos always just like squeeze the pouch and it went everywhere. And then also this hair rinser for the bath so that they don't get the water in their eyes when you are washing their hair. So that's just a little bit of a preview of some of my favorite things. You also want to have this approach when it comes to toys. And it is hard sometimes because you think about your kids playing with the toys and how much they love them, or maybe how much you love them. But we always want to remember that we're keeping the best of the best, and remember that minimalist, the 2020 rule that I've spoken about before, which is if you can replace it for $20 or find it somewhere where you drive 20 minutes or less, that you can consider letting it go because it's easily replaced. So you don't have to get super upset if you decluttered a teether that maybe your baby really liked, because that is easily replaced. And when it comes to clothes and how much clothing we should keep, this is a biggie, right? We want to think about the frequency that we do laundry when it comes to that baby season. Now, obviously, There's a lot of spit up and other things that get all over their clothes. So we want to think, okay, I'm going to be doing laundry maybe every other day, and maybe they go through, 3 onesies a day. So you can kind of figure out what sort of inventory you want to keep. And speaking of inventory, when it comes to all of these categories, you need to figure out how much space you want to devote in your home for that inventory. So maybe that is finding a space in your attic or somewhere in your closets and saying, okay, this is going to be the baby stuff that we are keeping. This is how much space that we are allotting. And the other aspect of it is something that I spoke to Angie Whip about in episode 56. She is a minimal mom of 9, and she was talking about the mental clutter of inventory when it comes to holding on to stuff for future kids. It's really fascinating kind of how she was explaining it. And really, for her, even though she got all of these hand-me-downs from well-meaning people, it wasn't worth it to her to keep all of this stuff because it's something that she had to manage. So we want to think not only about the physical space devoted to this inventory we're keeping, but also the mental space as well. So my second recommendation is to create your artificial boundaries around each category of stuff based upon how important it is to you and how much total storage space you want to devote to it. And when you are thinking about clothing and shoes, you need to remember that that new baby may not be the same size in the same season. So when it came to after having Andrew, we weren't sure if we were going to have another child or not. And so I had one kind of small bin per clothing size and shoe size, and recognizing that maybe my new baby was going to be in a completely different season. So if you have 50 short sleeve onesies that are 6-month size, but then your new baby, it ends up being winter when they're in that size, then we need to be a little bit realistic about that possibility instead of being aspirational and thinking, oh yeah, so this is going to work for my baby because we'll put them in every single thing. So that will play into the inventory that we spoke about in step number 1. The other thing that you need to remember is that you will still get stuff from people. You may have a sprinkle instead of a shower. You're probably going to get clothes no matter what, especially if you have had like 2 or 3 girls and then you're going to have a boy or vice versa. People just love buying clothes. So probably keeping less clothes with the understanding you're going to get some from people is a good idea. My third tip is to remember that there is an entire industry around baby stuff and advertisers telling you that you need certain products in order to have a happy baby and therefore happy parents. And when you're exhausted, it's really easy to fall prey to those things that you think are going to make your baby sleep and be quiet. I mean, I remember trying out a ton of different sleep sacks because I was desperate for this baby to sleep, right? But we have to think again, okay, what do I actually need? Do I need the electric baby wipe warmer? Maybe, maybe not, right? And there are so many high-end baby products to choose from, and then also friends telling us what worked for them. So it's easy really to kind of fall prey to all of that marketing. And just again, going back to, okay, what are the basic things that work with the understanding that we can see what works for a baby and what doesn't. And we can always get something in the future if need be, or have our lovely, well-meaning, wonderful grandparents getting things for them. The fourth step is something that may not apply to everyone, but given my struggle with infertility, it's something that I always keep close to my heart. We had infertility trying to have our first child, and then my second son was a surprise. But a lot of people are able to easily have one child, and then they struggle with what's called secondary infertility, where they are having trouble having additional children. And if you are concerned about having difficulty in having another child, for whatever reason it might be, you might want to have a limited amount of stuff and then talk to your spouse or partner about when it makes sense to let go. And it's really hard because we hold on to this hope. And I remember after we found out that we were pregnant with my youngest, I was so worried something was going to happen that I really didn't take many pictures of me pregnant. I just didn't want to have negative memories if something were to happen. And so we really have to think about, as we're holding on to things and it's this mental inventory, that it may also be that negative drain on our energy and our happiness if it's taking a lot longer to have a baby than we were thinking or planning. And there is a wonderful episode on the Minimalist Moms podcast that just came out with Elisa Henry. And she talks about this, about having her first child and then having trouble with the second, and what she and her husband did in order to let go of that baby stuff. So I have linked to that in the show notes and would recommend listening to that if you are in that situation. And my final, the fifth tip, is to be flexible throughout the process. Typically, when we are saving stuff, we have this just in case, I might need it mentality. I want to make sure that my baby has enough. And we have really that scarcity mentality and mindset about it. But just recognizing that we can keep what is essential, and then we can adjust. If we need to go get another pack of onesies, it's okay. If we find out that this sleep sack didn't work, we can get another sleep sack, but we don't have to keep every single thing for every single possibility, because it most likely means we're going to be exceeding our capacity to manage it, especially when we're going to have a newborn and already we're going to be exhausted, right? So I hope that this is helpful if you are thinking about how much to keep for a baby on the way. And just to recap, my 5 tips or recommendations are: number 1, defining what matters; number 2, creating your artificial boundaries around each category of stuff; number 3, remembering that there are advertisers out there that want you to buy a bunch of baby stuff, so be mindful of that; number 4, if you are having difficulty or think you might have difficulty having another child, just keep a limited amount of stuff and then figure out with your spouse or partner when it may make sense to let go; and number 5, be flexible throughout the process and remember what is essential. So on Thursday, we're going to be talking to life coach Natalie Hickson about managing our triggers, our negative thoughts, and destructive anger as overwhelmed moms. It's a great conversation, and I look forward to seeing you on Thursday. Bye for now. If you like today's podcast, here's what you can do. Just take 30 seconds to leave me a review. I know you're a busy mama. You're overwhelmed, in fact, but 30 seconds of your day makes such an impact. I'll be blessed by your words. They'll definitely make my day. And who knows, you might be entered for this month's giveaway. In Apple Podcasts, scroll down to write a review. Thanks so much for your time. I'm so grateful for you.